Frantic, fun, and in the end rather forgettable, DEATHRUN TV seems unlikely to breathe fresh life into the increasingly stale subgenre that is the 2D roguelite bullet hell. What once felt fresh with The Binding of Isaac and Enter the Gungeon doesn't seem to have seen much evolution in years now, and while DEATHRUN TV does a fine job deploying the same fast-paced formula that did its predecessors, it ultimately left me wondering whether this genre has given us everything it can. What DEATHRUN TV lacks in plot, that is to say a narrative sequence of events, it makes up for with a fun premise. You're a contestant on the world's bloodiest game show, a dystopian reflection of our like-obsessed stream-everything culture, in which you fight through hordes of monsters to satisfy a contract written in blood. Yours, of course. It's an amusing foundation on which to build a game, but DEATHRUN TV fails to do all that much with it. As with so many other roguelites, you'll simply spawn, select your loadout, and survive for as long as possible. Die and it's back to the beginning. Never once does DEATHRUN TV seem to aspire to anything more. It never, for example, turns its camera around to deconstruct its audience and this violent voyeuristic arena, and so ultimately the game ends up feeling about as hollow as is the culture it looks to spoof. The combat, meanwhile, is very much that frantic kind of frustrating fun that fans of the genre know and love. You'll bob and weave through all manner of enemy before inevitably colliding with one of the level's dozens of projectiles or traps, each of which will rip away 1 heart worth of health. And hearts are hard to come by, mind you, which brings us to DEATHRUN's only non-combat mechanic of note: the fans. Scattered throughout each level are a number of VR-imprisoned fans you can rescue in exchange for hearts, bombs, and upgrades. And there are dozens of the latter. Make your bullets bounce or burst, slow down enemies while speeding up yourself, or gain a slow-mo dodge and give it AoE damage. The more fans you free, the more upgrades you'll gain, and the deeper your runs will go. It's not nearly as satisfying as was Hades' boon system, for example, but it still is a nice touch.
August champion.
Before I move on, don't forget that you can increase fan health, as is these dummies go down like dominoes, thereby depriving you of valuable upgrades. While you're at it, don't feel bad for tweaking some of DEATHRUN's other accessibility features too. I ended up having way more fun with the game when my gun didn't run out of ammo every 6 seconds. Now, if only the remapping worked. I had to bail on my PS4 controller because my guy just wouldn't shoot with it. The game is thankfully still serviceable on mouse and keyboard, but DEATHRUN was marketed as a twin-stick shooter for a reason. Outside of its catchy main theme, I don't have much to say about DEATHRUN's style, so let's conclude with content. By far my biggest disappointment with DEATHRUN was its world. Little, if anything, here distinguishes levels from one another, whether stylistically or substantively. They look the same, they play the same. Ditto this for the game's bosses. While numerous, there's significant mechanical overlap here and nothing you haven't fought before. I suppose a final point worth mentioning is DEATHRUN's Twitch integration. Users can apparently vote on making your character bigger, smaller, invincible, or chickened. Alas, I am but a lonely little YouTuber with no live presence, so do with this gimmick what you will. In the end, and after averaging up our micrometrics, DEATHRUN TV earns the forgettable mega score of 2.58 out of 5 and isn't something I'll feel comfortable recommending absent some major content upgrades. Until next time, this is Scope, and thanks for watching.